We're back. So chess has been more popular than lately ever, and I thought I'd make a video on some basics for you. A little about me. I just played a children's tournament here in New York City. I won 6 out of 6 games to win the whole thing, and I told you my secret to playing children in a previous video, but before each game, I told them that their parents were getting divorced and then pretended like I wasn't supposed to tell them. I was just like, "Oh, sorry, I thought you knew." They were talking, and the first 5 games, totally a breeze. The kids played way under their strength. The sixth game, the kid actually told me his parents were already divorced, so I told him they were getting back together, and that seemed to do the trick. So, make sure you like and subscribe for other helpful chess tips that can benefit you in your either chess career or just casually playing. And I thought today, we would focus on some of the basics because a lot of you are just getting into chess. And we're going to be focusing on the rook. I'm going to introduce you to the rook. And the rook is arguably one of the 6 or 7 most powerful pieces in chess. And some experts just keep clicking the rook, which you see people on YouTube all the time click pieces and draw arrows. So I'm going to do as much clicking on the rook as I can throughout this game so you remember which one is the rook. But yeah, world champion Garrett Kasparov might argue for pawns or knights to be more powerful than the rook, but I would argue for the rook, which I'm going to click all of them. They're the rooks. They're the castle-y, pointy things. Yeah, so those are like really the history of the rook is they're named after castles, because in the middle world in like the 1800s when we all lived in castles, we were all, like castles are good for defense, and then in modern times we renamed castles rooks, and that's pretty much like most of the backstory you need to know about them. So again, really need to emphasize the rooks, clicking on the rooks. If you can at any point chat your opponent and let him know, hey, I got my rooks. That might help in determining what's going on. And you can see I'm clicking on the rooks a lot, but I'm not actually moving them in the beginning. And that's the beauty of the rooks. They're scary pieces, but when you start a game, you just leave them there because in real life, castles can't move. So you don't move your castles, in the beginning of the game. And you might be saying, well, there's a movie called Howl's Moving Castle, which is about a moving castle. And I would tell you to stop being such a nerd for 10 seconds of your goddamn life and just listen to me. Like, this is my video. The number next to my name is my chess score, and it's high enough that you need to shut up, okay? Because the higher your number, the more time in your life you've wasted playing this game, getting good at this game, missing birthdays, missing funerals, getting broken up with because you forgot about Valentine's Day. And then, once you get your number to be as high as mine, then you can watch your stupid Japanese movies about moving castles and whatever. But until then, you don't move your castle rook things in the beginning of the game until I tell you you're allowed to, okay? I haven't moved most of my other pieces because we've been focusing on the rooks so hard. So I'm going to start moving some other pieces. Maybe that goes there. But don't forget the rooks, which, remember, they're the ones they're like castles. Because they're going to be important later. Because your king is going to want to move to the castle, which is called castling. And when your king moves to the castle and castles with the rook, that means that things are safer. So that's why we call it the rook instead of the castle, whereas like it technically is a castle, but because it can castle, we just want to call it the rook, which, if you remember, these are the rooks. So we'll get to the rooks in a little bit because all 4 rooks are on the board. They're the only pieces that all of them are still on the board, except for the queens. You see my tabs. I was thinking about log flumes earlier. I was looking up log flumes near me, which there's not a lot of log flumes near me. I like log flumes more than roller coasters. I don't really like roller coasters. Roller coasters are pretty boring to me. They usually only have like 2 themes. It's either like metal or wooden, and that's like it. Log flumes, I like it's even narrower, so you know what you're getting into, because every log flume has the same theme, and the theme is something's gone wrong at the local sawmill. So like, you get on the ride and they're like, "Oh, you're at the sawmill," and then once you get into the sawmill, you're like, it's like flooding, and there's a lot of OSHA violations, and it's just the whole thing is just like a nightmare. So I like the log flume because it's like you get to see a small town in the story of the log flume, like a small town's economy collapse, which you know, uh, it's just more fun and it makes more sense. Because I've never even been to like regular. It's just chess. We should focus on chess. So this is gonna come with check right here, um, and he's gonna say a long sentence. People really like saying long sentences when you check them. It's actually in like tournaments. It's a fun fact is I think it's illegal to talk during a game, which is why you got to get all your talking in before the game starts, or you can talk during the game, and then when they call the referee over, you're like, I wasn't talking, and then you just double down and you're like, I wasn't talking. Maybe you put on like an accent or something. You're like, I don't speak English. I wasn't talking. So his king is moving closer to his rooks because rooks are so good, and he wants like my king's so far from the rooks, so I should make my king happier and let him see the rook, because if he can see the rook, then the rook can see him, and then he's defending. So you really want your rooks seeing each other, connected, taking up a lot of space, and they really rooks are happier when they're like seeing a bunch more squares. And at the beginning of the game, they don't see a bunch more squares, and at the end of the game, they see some squares. So, what the hell? What the hell's going on here? So, you got to think if I move this guy, then I can take that guy, and it's the arrows are kind of helpful, and then I'll just take back, and then am I up anything there? I don't know. I don't really know what's going on. He moves the horse over here to attack that, so I got to defend that by getting up there, and then probably just like this is like too much thinking. Yeah, so this is not what we're here for. We're just going to focus on the rooks. We'll get rid of the rooks so we have less rooks to focus on, and then hopefully at the end of the game, it can just be rooks. So we're coming to the end game, which is called that because it's the end of the game. And in the end game, much like in war or old timey war, that's when the rooks, which this is the rook, remember the thing I'm clicking. That's when these are more important, because think of it like go back to the middle world. Again, it's like 1885, 1886, and Lincoln's losing the war, so he's going up to the when you're in the old times when you were doing bad at war, you would like retreat to your castle as like a final stand, where you're like you got to break into the castle if you're gonna kill me, and in front of all the French people, and then they're gonna cheer whatever happened to that guy, the one from the movies or whatever. So like just try and remember that when you're focusing on rooks. And you saw I didn't move my rooks pretty much at all until the end game, because this is the end of the game where like they cross the moat, they're pounding on the castle walls. It's your last line of defense. So end game rooks. That's how I remember it. That like really convoluted metaphor. So we're gonna try and action these rooks here. So what happens if I move this guy, and then I can take this guy? No. So he's moving his rook, which is smart again because it's the end of the game. So yeah, it's the end of the game. Maybe focus on some other things. This is like a good distraction. It was. What do I do here? We queen, and then he takes, and then I don't want to think about this. I check. I'll put some checks in, get some good rook moves in, like right here. I'm just like check. Just keep checking. Check. Always check. Right? Yeah. I just like it was my mom's birthday this week, and I didn't get her anything. Can I take this? No, because if I check, nah, because take, and then I got two of these things, and then he's got one of these things in Rook. So I think that's like a draw. Um, I forgot to, I didn't get my mom anything for her birthday, and I'm so distracted. I'm almost just losing the game. I need like a service where like they on purpose come with like a note, an apology for late delivery, and like they take the blame for everything. When it's not like I ordered it after I was supposed to order it, like Valentine's Day, that would rock if I had one of those. Just like a courier service you use that is known secretly for like giving you an excuse for missing something important. So that's really what I'm going for here. And I think this is over for this guy. This is a pretty good win, and we're gonna use our most powerful piece on the board, the rook, to scoop up this guy's queen, and then it's pretty easy checkmate from here. Um, and you know, we're just gonna, if we had rooks, we'd be able to use them because that's what the video is about. But we don't have rooks anymore. They've served their purpose. Like, we don't use castles in war anymore. It's over. They're not that useful anymore, but they were useful, but now they're gone. So it's pretty much like real life and war, and it's checkmate. And yeah, so that was pretty much how you use the rooks. And sorry, like my stove is on, so there's like the gas